Good day. We're here with Tenumah from Teleflorals and asking him a few questions about the state of the nation. So, Amos, would you first of all tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Like you said, I'm Amos Tenumah. I'm Vice President of Operations with Teleflorals. I oversee our contact center operations, and we have a shop in Oklahoma City, in Arkansas, in Canada, and actually in the Philippines as well. So from a responsibility standpoint, from a customer experience, and how do we support our customers, which are our member florists who are a key part of our operations, and also consumers like you and me who interact with us on our various web properties and call us and place orders for events.
Excellent. Thank you. In your opinion, what are the big three trends for the contact center industry over the next 36 months?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of exciting things going on within the contact center space today. But quite frankly, I think one of the things that you'll see happen over the next few years is back to CRM, which CRM can be the most ubiquitous item in our space. But it's really back to that relationship model. I think over the last 10 years or so, there was a lot of conversation around customer service being a differentiator. I think we're going to go back to it not being a differentiator, but being an expectation. Consumers, even in the B2B space and in the B2C space, will demand not just customer support, but customer relationship. I think that would be a big trend that you would see across the industry, and people really begin to focus not so much on technology, but how do we support the customer. The second one is social technology. And I think, beyond, Facebook and Twitter and what have you, it's really more about this new contact. It's about this different kind of contact. It definitely brings, unique challenges. But really, I think what you'll begin to see happen over the next few years is social technology become yet another medium of communication within the contact center. And I think you'll start to see organizations throughout begin to really wrap their heads around, how do we integrate this within the bigger framework of our contact center? And so I think those two are important. But I think a third one that's probably the most challenging of the three is back to the contact center being a value proposition within an organization. So I think you'll begin to see metrics such as revenue per contact or revenue per call, certainly in sales and revenue generating organizations, but even in service organizations, you'll begin to see, actual tangible metrics around attrition and opportunity costs and things like that are really beginning to ask the question. The real question is, what value are you bringing to the contact center in this day and age? And I think the biggest driver for that is, or certainly the economic conditions today, which is, we're in a recession, or what the economists, I don't know what it's called now, but the bigger point is, to the extent that we're going to have a recovery, it seems like all reports so far seem to show that it'll be a slow recovery that happens, over a period of time. So austerity, if you will, is unfortunately here to stay for longer than we've seen in times past. So more and more organizations will begin to ask the question of, what value does the contact center bring into the rest of the organization? And certainly metrics such as average call or average contact value will become more and more important going forward.
Good. Within your sector, how are these trends going to actually affect organizations and the vendors that supply the industry?
Yeah, I think in one fundamental way, if you think back to just 10 years ago, how most floral transactions occurred, it was usually just you and me picking up the phone and calling our local florist and essentially saying, my mother has her birthday, send her flowers. And the florist would respond, how much do you want to spend? We would agree on an amount. And while our flowers arrive to your loved one. Now, today, that interaction happens slightly differently in that, number one, the consumer goes either on one of our web properties or on a website online and actually sees a picture of what's being ordered, or they're ordering from a flyer or what have you. And so instead of calling the florist or calling us and saying, deliver something nice, if you will, they have a specific expectation in mind. So in today's world, once that arrangement arrives, all of a sudden, the game changer for us is the camera phone. You know, when you talk about social technology and Facebook and Twitter, but the camera phone device really changed the game in my world, which is all of a sudden, as soon as that arrangement is delivered, the recipient sends a photo back to the sender, and there's a new customer expectation, if you will, which is not only do you have to deliver a good product, but you have to deliver the exact product or the right product. That certainly creates a lot of challenges for us internally, and it's a challenge we welcome. It's a challenge we welcome. It's a challenge all of our member florists welcome as well. So, if you want to think about customer relationship management, back to that whole concept of going back to the basics, it's now all of a sudden more real and fundamentally different than not just 20 years ago, but 10 years ago in terms of managing that expectation. And the way social technology can certainly accelerate that problem, if you will. It really, for us in my space, by far the biggest challenge we face.
Speaking of the social media, what parts of the social media does your organization engage with, and what form does that engagement take?
So we social technology is really a new piece, and it's certainly evolving. So I certainly don't have the answer, and I've yet to meet someone who has all the answers just yet. But here's what we do know. It's really germane to my space. We primarily engage with our customers on Facebook and on Twitter today. We certainly have other mediums as well, but those are the two primary ones we engage with our customers on. But one realization we're having, it's actually different from some organizations, is that those interactions really aren't about Teleflora. If you think about who actually does business with Teleflora, especially in the consumer space, it's because of a specific event. It's a birthday, it's Mother's Day, it's a loved one, and it's those type of events that make someone have interactions with us. So those interactions, even online, aren't so much about Teleflora. They're about a birthday. They're about a newborn. They're about the birth of a niece or a nephew. And certainly the way Teleflora interacts and plays a part in those interactions is hopefully they've come to Teleflora to help enhance that experience, to help enhance that birthday experience. And if we've done our jobs well, those interactions are gratitude and thanks as to how Teleflora helped enhance those events. And if we've done a not so good job, it's certainly about how Teleflora has made those events worse, or certainly not done our part in terms of enhancing those experiences. So we do two things. We are actively monitoring those interactions online, and like everybody else, we're overreacting to it a bit. I think until technology evolves to where social technology interactions really becomes another channel within the contact center, an important one that plays into your overall customer access strategy. So we keep one thing fundamentally in mind, though, is that those interactions really aren't about Teleflora, they're about those events. So when we go out and interact with customers about a negative experience, about a birthday, we put that in context and try to have those interactions about how can we help rectify those events that we didn't do a good job of. Or if it's in a positive context, again, we help them celebrate those birthdays and those events and add more value to it. So that's something that's pretty unique. But I think going forward, what I hope happens within the framework of the contact center space is technology helps us, because what you really want to do is really decide independently within your organization, how does this contact type fit in within the rest of your customer access strategy, and where does it rank, and those kind of things. And I think the technology is still evolving. There are definitely things in the market space, but as we get there and it becomes a more mature product, what you'll see is it'll fit in, and everyone would handle social technology very differently.
Well, Amos, thank you very much for taking the time here at the conference to sit down with me and share your views. And we look forward to seeing you again.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.